You are at a restaurant with your friends. The bill comes. Your share is $94. You do not have $94 to spare right now. But instead of saying that, you quietly hand over your card, smile, and go home later that night to stare at your banking app, wondering how you keep ending up here. That moment, that choice between honesty and a credit card swipe, is costing the average person over $7,000 every single year. And there is a name for the thing that ends it. It is called loud budgeting. And according to a 2024 survey by Clarify Capital of over 1,000 Gen Z adults, the people who practice it are saving an average of $629 every single month. Not from a raise, not from a side hustle, from one behavioral shift. There is one specific thing about loud budgeting that almost no one talks about. A psychological mechanism that makes it work even when willpower completely fails. I will show you exactly what that is before this video ends. By the time you finish watching, you will have 6 specific, actionable steps you can start using this week. Plus the exact words to say in the most awkward social situations so you never freeze up again. Here is the real picture as of early 2026. According to Ramsey Solutions' State of Personal Finance report, 52% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 34%, that is 88 million people, describe themselves as struggling or in financial crisis. And a third of Americans say they lost sleep over money worries in the past 3 months. And here is the part that makes the data even harder to look at. According to Bank of America's 2025 Better Money Habits study, 38% of people say they have spent money they could not afford on social activities, not because they wanted to, but because saying no felt more uncomfortable than going into debt. 69% of millennials in a Bankrate survey admitted the same thing. The problem is not that people cannot manage money. The problem is that the social pressure to spend is stronger than most people's ability to resist it in the moment. Loud budgeting is the direct solution to that specific problem. Loud budgeting is not a spreadsheet. It is not an app. It is the practice of saying your financial truth out loud, without an E, without a fake headache, and without apology. Instead of inventing a reason why you cannot make it to the expensive dinner, you say, "That does not fit my budget right now, but let us find something that works for both of us." That is the whole framework. The loudness is not volume, it is transparency. The term was coined by TikTok creator Lucas Battle in late 2023 and immediately went viral. Google searches for loud budgeting surged over 1,600% internationally in a single month, according to Clarify Capital. Bank of America confirmed in their 2025 research that 42% of Gen Z now feels completely comfortable declining social activities and openly telling people it is because they cannot afford them. If you want more personal finance content built on real data, not opinions, subscribe. A new video drops every week. Here is the psychological mechanism that almost nobody talks about. It is called public commitment theory, and it is one of the most replicated findings in behavioral economics. When you state a goal or a financial boundary out loud to another person, your follow-through rate increases dramatically compared to people who keep the same goal private. The act of saying it converts the intention into an identity. You are no longer someone who is trying to spend less. You are someone who has a budget. That identity change is what makes the behavior stick, even when willpower fails. PwC's 2025 consumer research found that Gen Z cut overall spending by 13% between January and April of 2025. And the loudest driver was not income change. It was deliberate, vocalized prioritization. People were not earning more. They were saying out loud what they were and were not spending on, and it was working. According to Bank of America's 2025 data, 66% of Gen Z report they do not feel pressured by friends to spend beyond their means. That is not luck. That is a generation that has normalized the conversation. Step 1. Know your real discretionary number. Open your bank app right now. Take your monthly take-home pay and subtract every fixed cost: rent, insurance, subscriptions, debt minimums. Whatever remains is your real discretionary number. Write it in your phone notes. Most people operate on a feeling of whether they can afford something. You need an actual number. You cannot say your financial truth out loud if you do not know what it is. Apps like YNAB, You Need a Budget, or your bank's own spending tracker make this calculation automatic in under 10 minutes. Step 2. Name your goal in one specific sentence. Vague goals do not survive social pressure. Specific ones do. The difference between I am trying to save more and I am paying off $3,000 in credit card debt by August is the difference between caving at the dinner and holding the line. Write your current financial goal in one precise sentence: the dollar amount, the deadline, and the reason. Tell two people in your life what it is. Public commitment theory shows that specific shared goals have measurably higher follow-through than private ones. Step 3. Master the exact language. Most people freeze in the moment because they have not rehearsed the words, so rehearse them now. Option 1. That does not fit my budget right now, but I would love to do something lower key. Option 2. I am working toward a financial goal and I am sitting this one out. Option 3. I am on a spending plan this month. Can we find something in a different price range? Practice these out loud before you need them. The freeze happens because the language is unfamiliar. Make it familiar. Step 4. Propose the alternative immediately. Loud budgeting is not the same as opting out of your social life. When you decline something expensive, counter with a specific alternative in the same breath. That is out of my budget, but I know a great spot for $15 a head. Want to do that instead? You protect your finances and you stay connected. And here is what will surprise you. People almost always say yes to the cheaper option when someone else names it first. Nobody wants to be the person who refuses to save money. They just do not want to be the first one to suggest it. Step 5. Track what you save from saying no. Every time you practice loud budgeting and decline something that did not fit your budget, write down what you would have spent. Do this in a note in your phone, in YNAB, or in a simple Google sheet. At the end of the month, add it up. Clarify Capital's survey data shows that people who actively track their avoided spending save an average of $629 per month, over $7,500 per year. The tracking itself is motivational. Watching the number grow is what makes the habit stick. Step 6. Run a monthly loud budgeting audit. Once a month, review your last 30 days of transactions. Label each one as either intentional, social pressure, or autopilot. Most people who do this for the first time find $200 to $400 a month in the second and third categories they had no idea was leaving their account. Empower's 2025 spending research found that 54% of Americans say the cost of living rose in 2025. But the majority of discretionary increases were in categories like food delivery and subscriptions, not necessities. Seeing the pattern is what gives you the power to change it. Loud budgeting is not magic and it is not without friction. The real risks are these. First, relationships. If your social circle responds to your honesty with pressure, judgment, or exclusion, that tells you something important about those relationships. But it is still an uncomfortable truth to live through. Second, overcorrection. Some people swing from total social spending into complete financial isolation and burn out the habit within 30 days. The goal is not to say no to everything. It is to say yes only to what you actually choose. Third, the habit has to be built, not decided. According to Bank of America's 2025 data, 33% of Gen Z still avoids thinking about their finances when they are stressed, and 30% are likely to make an impulse purchase when worried about money. Loud budgeting requires a calm, deliberate state to practice. Build the muscle gradually. Earlier I told you there was one thing about loud budgeting that almost nobody talks about. Here it is. The reason it works when willpower fails is public commitment theory. The moment you say your financial boundary out loud to another person, you stop being someone who is trying to be better with money, and you start being someone who has already decided. That identity shift, not discipline, not a budgeting app, not a spreadsheet, is the real mechanism. Everything else is just the execution. 6 steps. Know your real discretionary number. Name your goal in one specific sentence. Master the exact language before you need it. Propose the alternative in the same breath. Track every dollar you save from saying no. Run a monthly audit to see the pattern clearly. If you do all 6 of these, you are looking at a realistic path to over $7,000 saved this year from one behavioral change. That is not a projection. That is what the data shows, from Clarify Capital, Bank of America, and PwC, in research published in 2024 and 2025. Here is my question for the comments. Think about the last time you spent money you did not have because it was easier than saying no. What was the situation, and how much did it cost you? Drop it below. I read every single comment and I respond to as many as I can.